Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to Namur, to the UCI World Cup Cyclo-cross. We look across what is a slightly different course in terms of the conditions today. Normally this course is freezing cold and very, very muddy indeed. It's muddy, but it's pretty hard. 2.5 kilometers in length. Here's the circuit that the riders will be racing on today in both the women's elite race and the men's elite race. It twists, it turns, and it is categorized by the climb that takes us up to the top of this hill up on the Citadel. It's sunny, it's 11 degrees centigrade. The joke around here is it's pretty much like a summer cyclocross. The weather conditions in Europe are very pleasant indeed. It is more of a spring-like day. There's the World Cup standings after Coxada. We have Sanne Cant, the leader now. She took over the jersey from Eva Lechner of Italy, who's now in second place. Katie Compton had a good day in Coxada. She's now in fourth place with 83 points, and the rest of the riders, as you can see, are lining up behind. Now this is, if you've seen Namur cross before, that's the area of the course which is always interesting. It normally causes some problems. 67 riders to the start today. There's the French squad with Lucy Chanel-Lefebvre, which is a rider, of course, who has finished on the podium here in Namur before. Sanne Cant leads the Belgian team. No doubt that Sanne Cant is the rider on form right now. Helen Wyman has been on fantastic form over the last few weeks for Great Britain. She won in Spa. There's a very strong American team with Katie Compton, Caitlin Antonow, Crystal Anthony, also in there Meredith Miller and Emma White. Eva Lechner there for Italy, wearing number 44 today, followed up there by the German team. Luxembourg with Christine Majerus, the rider from the Boels-Dolmans team, a teammate of Lizzie Armitstead, and a special mention to Natalie Redmond of Australia, taking part there in her first World Cup. And the Australians starting to get a little bit more of a number of riders here at these World Cups in the different disciplines. There's the previous winners here in Namur in the World Cup. We've actually had cyclocross here since 2009, but the World Cup itself started in 2011. Marianne Vos, the first winner. Shame not to see her here, of course. Marianne Vos beating Chanel-Lefebvre into second place and Katie Compton into third on that day. Well, there's our World Cup leader in the white jersey, Sanne Cant, as we go across the front here of the grid. And we say hello there to Caitlin Antonow in the green. Alongside her is Nikki Harris. Nikki looking pretty focused. There's Pavla Havlikova. She finished third in Valkenburg. Alongside her, Ellen Van Looy. Van Looy so far is up there in the standings. Sanne Cant, she won yesterday in the Cyclo-cross. Alongside Sanne Cant, the smiling Italian rider Eva Lechner, back in her Italian champion's colours. Alongside her, the American champion Katie Compton, and the British champion in Helen Wyman, who I must admit, having talked to her before the start, is she's certainly got morale that is sky high after the last few weeks of competition. Now, if you've never seen Namur as a cyclocross, look at this for a start. You start on the cobbles. It is an almighty power climb right to the top of the Citadel. It is fearsome. Your heart rate is right on its max when you get over the top of this first climb. So expect to see the powerful climbers, expect to see Lechner really blast her way off the start here. She's had her rest and she's underway now, and here we go. This is the cavalry charge. On the right hand side, Caitlin Antonow, who had that fantastic performance in Valkenburg, and as we pan the camera around, and here we go, this is the climb. Christine Majerus with a fantastic start in the Luxembourg champions colours. That's probably expected. She's a very good road rider, having been a member of that Boels-Dolmans team. And I'm not surprised to see Helen Wyman, the leader, at the front for Great Britain. Behind her is Lechner and Majerus. Caitlin Antonow has started well. Sanne Cant not starting so sprightly. Nikki Harris has got a pretty good start for the Telenet Fidea team. And then you're onto this really bored start on the top of the climb, and you're at your absolute max. A bit of a problem there for number 40. That's Emma White, the junior rider, the young rider from the United States of America. White was a silver medalist in the World Championships. And then the screech of the brakes as we go downhill. Emma White not quite getting round that post there on that corner and causing a little bit of chaos. Well, we'll let this race calm down a little bit. Eva Lechner, I'm not surprised to see her leading right now. She's a very, very good climber, and the first part of this course is so tough. Sanne Cant a little bit further back there in the white. Had a long chat to her before the start. Those of you who've been reading the press as Lechner goes down the drop-off and Majerus on that pink Specialized bike goes round the corner. Also near the front is Sanne van Passen, who is also a member of the Boels-Dolmans road team as well. And Sanne Cant having a very slow start. Now, I talked to Sanne before the start today. There's been a lot of reports about the injury that she's had so far in the last few weeks. She's actually got a muscle tear between one of her ribs on the left-hand side, and that is causing her real discomfort. And she was a bit concerned about the acceleration off the start today, because obviously she's having to put in so much effort moving left and right just to get the power through, and it's very, very sore on those ribs. Yesterday she rode the Cyclo-cross. She won that, beating Helen Wyman and De Boer into third place. But this is such a tough start for someone who's carrying that sort of muscle tear that she's just got to settle down into the race and try and ride her way through the field. So that's been the problem. She's still not 100% recovered. She's getting treatment every day on it to try and get it to recover. But as she said to me before the start, you need to race. You can't afford right now to not have a race on a weekend. So she's trying to kind of nurse the injury, even although yesterday she still won ahead of Helen Wyman and De Boer. Eva Lechner then through this muddy section. Majerus in second place, Nikki Harris in third, Helen Wyman in fourth. Behind Helen Wyman is Van Passen. Also near the front for American fans, Ellen Noble with the pink socks is riding strongly. And she's working her way up towards the front of this field now. So Lechner and Harris going shoulder to shoulder through that little turn as Wyman now reaches this run-up. I was talking to Nikki Harris before the start, and she said she rode the Cyclo-cross yesterday. Helen Wyman got a big problem here. Oops, so she's got a bit tangled up as she tried to get onto that drop-off. And that hasn't quite gone to plan for her. Oh, and face planted one rider. I don't know what happened there, but Helen had a real problem, and then suddenly she couldn't get her feet out the pedals, and a little bit of dancing going on as she makes her way down that drop-off. That is a drop-off, I remember, where Helen's had a few problems before. Now we're on to this section, which I was talking to, we were sitting watching the race earlier, the organizer of Cross Vegas and I, and we were watching a couple of the juniors go along here earlier. And this looks like a really long section, but it's actually not that long. But it's so hard to actually get any traction. And we were asking Beat Wabel, who of course was a fantastic cyclocross rider, how would he ride this section? And he said, I'd start at the top when I come over that crest, and then I'd just work my way down and just try and not go too far to the right-hand side of the picture, the left-hand side, by the time I reach the exit of that little section. Eva Lechner then over the top of this rise now. She's looking pretty comfortable. She had that little break before Coxader, and then she rode that because she was in the World Cup leaders jersey. She wanted to pay it some respect. So she'll have had her little break, and now she'll be back on her training block. And right now, she looks like she's got the measure of this course. She's riding very strongly, just working that bike. But of course, that start for her as a great mountain biker will have been very much to her liking. And she gets off now and decides to run up this little section. Now, I know so many of you like to know some of the techie bits, as what these riders are riding, their tyre pressures and everything. Nikki Harris has chosen pretty hefty pressures in her tyres today. 1.3 bar in the front, 1.4 in the back. She's on Rhino tyres. Sana Kant has gone with 1.2 bar in her tyres today. I talked to her literally just as she was going to the start line, and she'd ridden around. She decided to go with a softer tyre pressure. And now we have the two leaders in the Italian champions colours. It is Eva Lechner, but Nikki Harris has decided now to go to the front. 2.5 kilometres then to answer the pedalist on Twitter. And if you'd like to join me on Twitter today, @AntMcCrossan is where you can. You can ask me any questions as this race starts to unfold. We'll keep you updated with exactly what is going on. But it is one of the toughest cyclocross courses during the season. You really get very little respite. You're going uphill or downhill a lot of the way. Not many flat sections at all. Nikki Harris coming round here into this central section where all the camper vans are parked, and also the area where all the food is as well. And Harris, this is your flatter section of the course. A great place for spectators. They can go in, they can wander around where all the camper vans are, see the stars, and then they can go out and watch the race. And because we're right up on the top of the hill, you get a good chance to see a lot of the action. Katie Compton's had a good start today as we come up to the end of lap number 1. And it is Nikki Harris who is the leader with an opening lap of 8:21. Helen Wyman's had a bike change. And behind Nikki Harris are Lechner at 5 seconds, Van Looy at 6 seconds. Katie Compton is 13 seconds down. Coming up now, Sophie de Boer is the rider in the black-white colours. Caitlin Antonow again with another good performance there in the green. 22 seconds down. And coming across the line now, we are seeing Sana Kant is now down in 10th place. And Sana Kant is 34 seconds down. Helen Wyman is riding 38 seconds down at this moment in time. There's Caitlin Antonow wearing number 35 in the green of Cannondale, this American rider who finished second to Lechner in the Valkenburg cross. Coming across now wearing number 2 there. Big effort there from Caroline Marnie in the colours of Rally, as Nikki Harris now just pedals her way smoothly down to this adverse camber. She's going to turn this corner and try and ride this little section and get some daylight between her and the rest of the field. She's got that little advantage now on Lechner and on Ellen Van Looy, her teammate, only for another couple of weeks, who is there in 3rd place. Well, Nikki Harris finished in the bronze, in the 3rd place position in 2013 on this course, so it's to her liking, behind Marianne Vos in 2nd place and Katie Compton in the winner's position on that occasion. That's the only time she's finished on the podium of this cross. Well, yesterday on that that course that was a lot flatter, Sanne Cant won't have felt this rib injury at all, but on a course like this, she's going to feel all those little bumps, and every time she feels any kind of pressure or she has to climb, then that rib is going to be hurting quite a lot. But Harris now going out on her own to try and put some daylight between her and the rest of the field. Now, you'll probably remember that in Koksijde, Harris was leading the race. Then she had a puncture, back wheel puncture. Took her a while to get herself back into the pits, and she ended up having to ride her way back to the wheel of Sanne Cant. She ended up in second place. But right now, she's using her ability on the flat sections to very good effect, and she is pulling away on the power sections of today's race. Pavla Havakova there in the blue and white. And Eva Lechner still in second place. But watch out now for Katie Compton as Nikki Harris goes down that really steep drop-off. She was telling me beforehand that she's obviously moving to the Boels-Dolmans team the beginning of January. She'll switch, and she obviously has got to get the equipment sorted out and her bike sorted out. She's already got her race bikes, but she's been getting the tyres stuck on the bike. She's been pulling in all the help she can get to get all the tyres ready on her new wheels. She's going to switch from cantilever brakes to disc brakes when she switches bikes. But right now, she is looking very, very comfortable as we go down onto this next drop-off section. Nikki Harris then leading this World Cup. She's had an interesting week. She went to the wedding of her best, very close friend, another pro rider, Johnny McAvoy, this week, a few days ago. So she said she couldn't miss that, two close friends. But she spent all her day on her feet, but then she made sure she wasn't drinking, and she went to bed early. But she said she couldn't miss it. Yesterday, she just didn't feel 100% in that shoulder cross. She was hoping that today she would feel much, much better. And I have to say, having talked to Nikki, she's looking very, very lean. And she looks fit today, ready for today's race. Lechner, look at that position on the bike. Trying to come back here. Oh, a little risky there. Trying to come back to the wheel of Nikki Harris, using her technical ability to very, very good effect. Eva Lechner is a great bike handler, diminutive figure, which means, you know, the center of gravity is very, very low. Moving into second place now with a great performance is Caroline Marnie in the blue. Decides to get off now and run. Nikki Harris has those eyes of total focus, doesn't she? And she'll know that Sanne Cant has got this this injury. She'll know that today is a good opportunity for her to maybe pull on another podium in a World Cup. There's a lot of British fans around this circuit today as well. She goes into the section with all the fans. So Nikki Harris leads. Lechner is in second place. Katie Compton is in fourth place right now. Just to give you some updates on other riders. Having started well, Christine Majerus is now 17th place right now for Luxembourg. Emma White of the United States is 21st. Amira Meller of Great Britain is down in 34th. Hannah Payton of Great Britain in 31st. I'm just taking a quick look through to give you some other nationalities. Natalie Redmond of Australia in her first World Cup is in 60th place. She's not the final rider in the field. Three riders didn't start. One was Lucy Chanel Lefebvre, who I mentioned before the start as a rider who has been a podium finisher before. Also, Elle Anderson of the United States did not start, and Katrina Jansluvaita of Lithuania, of Latvia, sorry, didn't start either. But other riders in the field, just to give you an idea, the top 10: Harris, Lechner, Van Looy, Compton, De Boer, Havlikova, Marnie, Antonou. Thalita de Jong, the rider from the Rabo Liv team, is in 9th place, and Sanne van Passen in 10th, although things are starting to shift around just a little bit. Nikki Harris then coming up to the end of her second lap very soon. Just has those the eyes of the effort going in all the time. She's got her parents here today. Sanne Kant working her way up the climb. It's amazing, actually. I was watching before the start how many times she gets asked for photographs and how often she has to stop and pose for photos as Nikki Harris goes out with another faster lap, another 1 second quicker. Coming around the corner now is Eva Lechner, Ellen Van Looy of the Telenet Fidea team. I don't think she's going to work with Eva across this little section. She will help Nikki Harris a little bit if she can. So those riders now at 20 seconds, and Ellen Van Looy at 20. Katie Compton is just crossing the line now. She's 31 seconds down on the day. And Sophie de Boer now is in 5th place. Caroline Marnie with a great performance, 38 seconds down now in 6th. As Nikki Harris goes to the top of the climb up by the Citadel, this next group of riders is about to cross the line. And that includes Helen Wyman, also in there Jolien Verschuren, Caitlin Antonou in the green, Thalita de Jong, a very strong group of riders there. And Sanne Kant. I'm not surprised that she's suffering today. Giving a little bit of encouragement. That was nice. It shows you the level of sportsmanship in this sport. One of the riders just giving Sanne a little tap and saying, come on, keep going. As Jolien Verschuren, number 12. Behind her is Helen Wyman. Behind Wyman, Caitlin Antonou. There's Thalita de Jong, another very good road rider from the Rabo Liv team. As Ellen Van Looy now tries to attack Eva Lechner and go away to give Telenet Fidea a 1-2 as so far. That rib must be really hurting every time she hauls herself to the top of this Citadel. It's an incredible climb. The camera doesn't really give you the 100% how it looks. It's incredibly tough. So this course all built on the Citadel. It started, it was first built here at the top of the climb here in Namur in the Middle Ages in 1640. It was then strengthened and enlarged in 1692 and then was knocked down and rebuilt in 1713. And this little town is the capital of Wallonia, which is in the French region of Belgium. Not really renowned for its cycling in terms of big races, but every year you get this cyclo-cross as Nikki Harris is going flying around this course today. She's looking very, very good, and I know that there's one rider in particular who right now, who's always watching. I'm sure he will be biting his fingernails right down to the end of them will be Matt Bramier, Nikki Harris's boyfriend. I'm sure right now he'll be marveling at the way she's riding this course, but he'll also be stressing a little bit because Harris has never won a World Cup. She has always been on the podium of these World Cups, but right now she is riding away from the rest of the field. And she's looking really, really good in this cyclo-cross today. The lap times then Harris's average speed in the first lap was 18.1 kilometers an hour. And on the second lap, she speeded up. It was 18.18 kilometers an hour. She went 1 second faster over lap number 2. I think we're going to see about 5 laps this time of this course. There's been a little bit of discussion recently about the length of some of the women's races, and I think Harris felt that last time in Coxada, if the race had been a little bit longer, she would have had the opportunity to ride her way back into contention after her puncture. Harris then just keeping herself to the close right-hand side of this circuit. There is Sanne Kant being tracked by number 19 just behind her is Sanne van Passen. Do join me on Twitter today if you'd like to. @AntMcCrossan is where you can message me if you'd like to ask any questions, give any thoughts, give us any predictions. The top 3, if you're just joining us: Nikki Harris of Great Britain, Eva Lechner of Italy, Ellen van Looy of Belgium. They're the top 3. Katie Compton tracking 4th, although she is dropping a little bit into 5th place right now because Caroline Marnie is in a little bit of a tussle with her. And I'm just looking to see where Sophie de Boer is. Caroline Marnie could be riding away onto a podium position here. Oh, Ellen van Looy just losing a little bit. She went from the top of that track, that adverse camber section, to the bottom, but managed to hold the bike technically. Meanwhile, Harris now onto this run-up. Total concentration, 1.3 bar in the front tyre, 1.4 on Rhino tyres as she goes over the top and jumps back onto a machine. Helen Wyman now has safely got herself going after that topple. She didn't quite go over the bars, but something happened to the bike just at the top of that drop off and she had to stop. So to give you an idea of lap times, the fastest lap so far is Nikki Harris on lap 2. Caroline Marnie's second lap was also quick, 17.98 kilometers an hour. Eva Lechner's was 17.95. Helen van Looy 17.93 kilometers an hour. So the rider who is leading is certainly the fastest rider on the course, even in terms of other intermediate lap times of the other riders so far. So thank you for joining me here for today's Namur World Cup Cyclo-cross. So far we've seen wins for Katarina Nash in Vegas. We saw Eva Lechner win in Valkenburg. Sanne Kant won in Coxada as Caroline Marnie now moves her way up the field. This is a great performance by her. Sophie de Boer just struggling on that little section. There is no room for feeling below par on this Namur course. You have to be absolutely on your game to be here and to be winning this sort of race. Well, the atmospheric mics picking up the breathing of Caroline Marnie. She's really putting in a massive effort now, this French rider. Oh, that was another crash there for... oh, I thought she was going to go right into the crowd. That was Emma White. She's not having a day to remember in this Namur cross as Nikki Harris comes round to be close to completing lap number 3. Caroline Marnie is the rider now who is tracking faster, as we just caught a glimpse there of number 37, Amanda Miller of the United States of America. A big contingent of American riders here this weekend as Nikki Harris comes round with 2 laps of racing to go. Nikki Harris, 17.82 kilometers an hour that time. So she slowed down to an 8:31 lap. Caroline Marnie breathing really hard after that big effort. As Eva Lechner takes another, has a bike change, so Marnie now is in second place at 23 seconds. Katie Compton now has ominously moved herself back into another podium position. And a little bit further on back, we are seeing the rest of the riders. There's Jolien Verschuren. Caroline Marnie, though, a very impressive ride from her today. You can see the amount of effort she's having to put in. Trevor Nichols, thanks for your message. What's the gradient of that rutted section? It's a really bad adverse camber. It's not that steep, but basically it's just really badly rutted. You're talking maybe 15%, something like that. But it's just rutted and it's really hard. It's impossible for you to stay up at the top of the banking. You're constantly leaning over. Very difficult to keep your traction going, as Caitlin Antonow now crosses the line in 11th place. Maud Captains is in 10th, Havlikova 9th. Helen Wyman now has moved herself into 8th. Eva Lechner's dropping away a little bit. She's in 6th place as Jolien Verschuren goes over the top of the climb. Caroline Marnie with an impressive performance. Cameron, you're right, Sanna's on discs this weekend. She didn't tell me if that was a permanent switch. We'll try and find out from her. I'm just looking at other riders to see where any other riders some of you are mentioning are overall in the placings. Katie Compton down that little drop off. The Canadian rider, Michael Dick, is in 26th place, to let Garrett know. Thanks for your message. 26th place for Michael Dick at the moment. From Canada, 2:38 down on the race so far. Round that turn then, Katie Compton is starting to make a little bit of a charge. She's now 29 seconds down on the leader. And of course, Katie Compton's a rider that we know starts steady and gets quicker and quicker all the time. And now she's hunting down Caroline Marnie. She wants that second place. Onto this big drop-off. Look how steep this is as Harris goes right to the left-hand side, tracks her way down, leans the bike left-hander. She rides that as though it's just a normal descent on a road in a normal bike race, and it's not. It is so steep, that section. You go to the top of it, look down and think, oh, there's no way I'm going to ride down that. Caroline Marnie also tracking the same. Katie Compton choosing to go right-hand side. It's really interesting as to the way that these riders choose to ride these sections to the best of their ability. I was talking to Helen Wyman about that before the start. She was saying, when you watch a cross race, it's interesting to see the techniques of the women riders, the way that each one is trying to use their abilities to get over the different sections, and how some are able to ride some drop-offs, some are able to ride on sections where others can only run. Some choose to shoulder the bike, some choose to run alongside with the bike. It is very interesting to watch. Look how muddy it is down there. But Harris is choosing a really interesting line, and now she's got no one to worry about. So she can choose exactly where she wants to ride. Here's Nikki Harris on this rutted section. She's able to choose that middle point, just keep the bike in the track and keep herself going. A reminder then, the top three as we stand, as Harris manages to go to the top of the track again. Harris of Great Britain, Caroline Marnie of France, Katie Compton of the United States of America. They are the top places. Behind them, Ellen van Looy of Belgium, Sophie de Boer of the Netherlands, Eva Lechner of Italy, Jolien Verschuren of Belgium, Helen Wyman of Great Britain, Pavla Havlikova of the Czech Republic, and Maud Kaptons in 10th place. Behind them, Antonou, Sanne Cant down in 12th place. And just looking at the overall standings in the World Cup, Eva Lechner needs to keep pushing on here. There's 11 points between Lechner and Sanne Cant. And right now, there are 6 places between them. So Eva Lechner would get 30 points. So she really needs to try and move up the standings 1 more place. And I think she'd be back in the leader's jersey of the World Cup at the end of the afternoon. Nikki Harris, though, meanwhile, pushing on a little bit more. Fans of the United States of America, Ellen Noble's in 18th place, Amanda Miller now in 19th place. Of course, Katie Compton in 3rd. And also up towards the front, they're really pushing each other now. Caitlin Antonou in 11th place. So the strength of the American team showing. They're keeping each other going. Thanks very much for all your tweets at Ant McCrossan. Very much appreciated. Nice of you to join me this afternoon as we bring you this live coverage of this UCI World Cup Cyclo-cross here in a very warm Namur. It's about 12 degrees centigrade. The sun is out. I was talking to Ian Field before the start as he was warming up for the men's race, and we were recounting 3 years ago when the women's race started in snow. It was freezing cold. But today is a day where it's a lot warmer. You don't need the thermals on. A little bit of a chilly wind, but it doesn't feel like Belgium. Sanne van Passenen, followed by Sanne Cant, just behind her. Sanne's had a little tumble, maybe. Don't know, it might just be mud off the bike. Charles, thanks for your message about Marianne Vos. Why is she not riding cyclo-cross at the moment? So Marianne has had a little bit of course, a hamstring injury all the way through the road season. And she is not riding the cross season at all. And she is going to try and come back ready for the start of 2016. She's now training. She's just been in South Africa. In fact, she rode the Momentum 947 Sportive ride. She was there as a little bit of an ambassador, and now she's just trying to get herself recovered and ready for the 2016 season. So we won't see her at all on the cyclocross circuit. 1 lap of racing to go. Nikki Harris of Great Britain is the leader of this World Cup. She's never won a World Cup race before. Is today going to be her day? Behind her, we know that Caroline Marnie and Katie Compton are the 2nd and 3rd place riders. Marnie is going to come through now. She was at 23 seconds last time. She's closed up a little. She's at 18 seconds. And Nikki Harris now, look at those eyes, pure concentration. Can she bring home a World Cup victory here in Namur? She has finished on the podium before in 2013, behind Katie Compton and Marianne Vos. Her compatriot Helen Wyman has also finished on the podium here in 2009 when it wasn't a World Cup. And Caroline Marnie of France right now is going to put herself on the podium if she continues with this effort, and that will be a stunning performance from her. We've not seen Caroline Marnie on the podium of a World Cup either. She's just put in, though, an 8:16 lap, the fastest lap of the race so far to Caroline Marnie, 18.36 kilometers an hour. Nikki Harris, the 2nd fastest lap at 8:20. Graham Robbins, good afternoon to you. I'm glad you're enjoying the racing while you're editing photos back there at home. So thank you very much for your message. There's Jolene Verschuren. Caitlin Antonou now crosses the line with 1 lap of racing to go. There's Thalita de Jong. As we get this aerial shot now of Sanne van Passen. In fact, the rider in front of her now, in front of Sanne Cant, is Aida Nuna Palacio of Spain. So Sanne Cant needs to just try and get this rib to recover so we can see her back at her best in these technical courses. Caroline Marnie now working hard to try and catch Nikki Harris. Can she do that? She looks like she's on a big move now. Harris being pressed maybe for the first time. She goes around that corner though. Pressed in terms of a little bit of, she'll be able to look across the course and she'll know that there is one rider chasing her, which she didn't really have before. She had 23 seconds. Harris, though, when she gets onto this fast section, she can use the road speed. Kristen, thank you very much, Kristen Brand, for your message. In terms of the United States, Katie Compton's third, Caitlin Antonou in the green. American rider is in 10th place. Ellen Noble is in 18th. Amanda Miller is in 20th place so far. As we look at Nikki Harris, a rider who I've known for a long time, who has worked so hard to try and get herself to the top of the World Cup of women's cyclocross. She started her career really on the track for Great Britain. She didn't like the process and the way that she had to be kept in the velodrome, and she likes the outdoors. She's a tough bike rider. She's ridden on the road a lot, and she will ride next season in Bowles Dolmans with Lizzie Armistead, Evelyn Stevens, and all those other top road riders. Harris is a talented bike rider at all different disciplines. Caroline Marnie now trying to come back. The camera's foreshortening it a little bit, but there is probably about 15 seconds now between these two riders as Harris picks away up that steep section, jumps back onto the bike, down the drop-off yet again. Nice left-hand turn there, makes that look very steady. Now she's going to stay right-hander, stay hugging on as Marnie now reaches the top of the climb. Mouth wide open, trying to gulp in a little bit more oxygen. Well, I can see on Twitter there's so many of you who know Nikki Harris who are cheering her on. Matt Bramier is actually on his turbo trainer doing one more interval. He will be so happy if she wins. Marnie then tracking her way across. She looks like she's going to have her best performance in a World Cup. Caroline Marnie behind them then. Lechner has now moved herself into third place. This is good for the World Cup lead. Eva Lechner has 134 points, 145 to Sanne Cant. There are 60 points for the win, 50 for second, 45 for third. So right now, this is putting Eva Lechner back into the World Cup leader's jersey. Number 18 there, making her way across this little section. Sophie de Boer of the Park Hotel team as Nikki Harris goes over the top of this climb now. Can she bring home this win that she's been looking for years? Big crowd clapping Nikki Harris. They know she's so well known on the World Cup cyclocross and the super prestige cyclocross circuit. The 28-year-old rider started her career in 2006 on the track and on the road. Comes from Derbyshire in the United Kingdom. Can she now bring home this World Cup? She started riding cyclocross as an under-16. She was a national champion. And steadily we've seen her rising to the top of world cyclocross. This year, though, she hasn't had the big win. I was talking to someone before the start, and they said Nikki Harris hasn't had a big win, but so far she finished second in Zonhoven, second in the Grand Prix Valence. She finished third in the European Championship. She finished third in Koppenberg, third in Gavere. She won in. She was third in Overijse. She really will just, her morale will go absolutely sky high, and I think you'll see a pretty emotional bike rider if she wins this World Cup. 2013, she was the national cyclocross champion of Great Britain. She has never won a World Cup. Now she's working her way across the top of the circuit. She's lapping riders in front of her now, as we caught a glimpse there of Irene Trabazzo of Spain. Harris now still concentrated, still working really hard. She's making her way towards the fast little section here. Can Nikki Harris now win this World Cup? Barring any technical problems, this is going to be her first World Cup win. Nikki Harris is going to turn this bottom corner. Can she now win this one? She's going to take a big, deep breath. She goes past the pits. She turns right. Nikki Harris is going to win the World Cup here in Namur. She's all smiles. Finally, the win in a World Cup is hers. Behind her is Caroline Marnie. Nikki Harris wins in Namur. 42 minutes of racing. She finally does it. She led start to finish. Caroline Marnie now in second place. She takes the second place ride. Two riders who today have come into their own. Here comes the rider who will take over, I think, the lead in the World Cup. Eva Lechner of Italy in the Italian colours. She's always happy. She sits up. She finished second in Vegas. And Katie Compton will today finish in fourth place. Another good performance by Katie Compton. Behind them, Ellen Van Looy. She's happy with a fifth place. A good performance by Ellen Van Looy. She'll also be happy for her teammate, Nikki Harris. Coming around the corner then, I think it's Sophie de Boer, who finishes in sixth place. And just behind her, I think, will be Jolien Verschoren. So it is Verschoren there. Comes around the corner, and she will finish in seventh place today. Helen Wyman then, the rider who's been on big form over the last few weeks. She finishes in eighth place. Caitlin Antonou will finish again in the top 10 in a World Cup. She'll finish ninth. Well, two riders who have come into their own. Caroline Marnie with her first World Cup podium. Nikki Harris with her first World Cup win. Thalita de Jong is going to come round this corner with Sanne van Pasten. Sanne Kant will just want to get to the end of this race. With that rib injury, let's hope that she can recover. And with that, the World Cup will slip out of the grasp of Sanne Kant, but we know why, and we wish her all the very best with this recovery, which is clearly causing her a lot of pain right now. And the next rider's coming round the corner. There's Nikki Harris, though. The big win finally happens. She's won Numerous crosses before, but she's been trying so hard to win one of these World Cups. All smiles from Nikki Harris. That was a big effort, but she led from the clear section of the first lap, and she raced from the front the entire way. This time, no mechanical problems, no issues. She wins. Caroline Marnie in second. A great performance by the French rider from Rally as she takes that second place. And Eva Lechner in third will go back to the top of the World Cup standings at the end of today. There's our result then, 42 minutes 15 seconds of racing. Nikki Harris wins for Great Britain ahead of the French rider Caroline Marnie, Eva Lechner in third. The American rider Katie Compton, again a consistent performance here in fourth. And there's the makeup of the top 10. Caitlin Antonou makes it 2 American riders in the top 10. And Helen Wyman makes it 2 Brits and also 2 Belgians in there and 2 Dutch, making up the top 10 places. There's our top 20. Ellen Noble in 18th place for the United States. Amanda Miller in 20th. And Sana Kant there in 14th. The Spanish rider, Aida Nuna, in 13th place there, also in that top 20. So the rest of the riders just completing what is a very, very tough cyclocross. Thank you to all of you for your tweets and messages. And we're waiting now for the podium presentation of today's race. Let's take a look back at the race. So they went powering their way off the cobbled section. At the top of the climb, Christine Majerus had a good start. Nikki Harris there, you could see moving up on the left-hand side, just picking her line. And when she went over the top of the next little section, you had that problem for Helen Wyman. Harris just avoided it. And it was Harris and Eva Lechner who then appeared at the front of the race. At this point, though, Eva Lechner had that lead. Nikki Harris trying to work her way to the front, but when she did, that was it. She lapped the end of the first lap. She was in the lead, and then she never really looked back, overtaking Eva Lechner there to go to the front. And then on these drop-offs, she had it absolutely nailed as far as the line she needed to take. She looked very, very fast indeed. Katie Compton, another great performance from her. Sana Kant, you have to admire what an incredible competitor she is. She won the shoulder cross yesterday. She's got this injury, but she refuses to give in and still races today in pain. Fantastic crowd here in Namur, as always. Caroline Marnie, she really started to motor in the second section of this race. We started to notice her after 3 laps of racing. But it was Harris who had the bike set up exactly how it should be. And there was no one who was ever going to come back to her. Nikki Harris wins the World Cup in Namur. Marnie takes second place. All smiles from the French rider. And Eva Lechner will go back to the top of the leaderboard. Here's the World Cup standings then after Namur. So confirmed then that Eva Lechner will go back to the top with a big lead now. Opens up an advantage of 17 points on Sana Kant. Nikki Harris, with that performance, moves herself into the top 3 with 140. And there's the makeup of the top 10. It's tough, this bike racing. This race gives you nothing left at the end because of the amount of work you have to do off the start. Your body is right at its max. By the time you're in the first minute of racing, your pulse rate is at its max and your breathing is really, really hard. Well, don't forget we have the men's race coming up. But in the meantime, we're going to get ready to greet Caroline Marnie on her first World Cup podium and Nikki Harris with her first World Cup win. In the meantime, though, let's hear from the winner of today's World Cup here in Namur, Nikki Harris.
Nikki Harris, many congratulations. What a demonstration.
Yeah, I can't quite believe it myself. Like, I've literally dreamed of winning a World Cup for so long. I've wanted to win a race the whole season, and I kept trying, and today I just took the lead and I just felt good, and I could just keep going my own lines, and I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
Was it a hard race for you?
So hard. Every lap I was just counting it down, and it was like one more lap, and I just knew if I could keep pushing and keep my own pace, then I could take the win, and I'm so happy.
And you jumped to the 3rd place in the general classification of the World Cup, eh?
Oh, I didn't realise I missed the first round, but that's even more of a bonus. And yeah, I'm so happy. I just want to thank Matt, my boyfriend, and Marco Pinotti. He's helped me so much in training, and I'm so happy I could win.
We can see it. Many congratulations.
Well, a very nice interview there with Nikki Harris. She's got some good guidance alongside her to help her train and get her to the very, very top of her game. Marco Pinotti, the professor, of course, helping her with her coaching. And Matt Bramier, who I know will be extremely pleased with seeing Nikki finally take that World Cup win that she has so desperately been looking for.
Pendant 60 minutes pour ceux qu'on peut déjà être certains une partie de la manivelle de toute beauté. Pendant ce temps, eh bien, la cérémonie protocolaire des accordats est toute proche et va tenir à sourire la concurrente italienne puisqu'elle sait qu'elle va endosser le maillot blanc de leader de la Coupe du Monde. Nous allons donc laisser maintenant ses concurrentes en compagnie de Marc Bolan qui va orchestrer cette cérémonie protocolaire réservée au temps international. Nikki Harris qui rejoint à son tour le podium.
So we're going to make our way onto the podium now.
Ici après Francfort et après Namur.
Et voilà, nous sommes prêts pour lancer la cérémonie protocolaire. Mesdames et messieurs, nous allons commencer par faire retentir notre son habituel.
So 4 rounds down, 4 different winners. It's all smiles and jokes behind here, isn't it? They're comparing shoes. Isn't time for photos.
Coupe du monde de cyclo-cross, la manche de Namur, citadelle, esplanade, en cette date du 20 décembre,
Whoops.
dimanche 20 décembre 2015.
You don't want to be doing that.
Les élites ont montré tout ce qu'elles savent faire.
That's a different
Et ça a
way
été
to,
le résultat suivant. En 3e place,
It's a different way to get down a bank, isn't it?
pour l'Italie.
In 3rd place then, Eva Lechner of Italy, the Italian champion.
La 2e place
Always
est
smiling.
réservée à Caroline Marnie, France. Et la victoire, sa première
And in
grande victoire de la
second place
saison,
then,
mesdames et messieurs,
Caroline Marnie of
Nikki
France.
Harris.
But the winner, her first World Cup win, Nikki Harris of Great Britain, riding for that Telenet Fidea team.
Les fleurs et le bisou, les trophées, bien entendu, sont remis également aux lauréats Notre hôtesse Chari en fait de même et Anne ne se laissera pas prier, elle fera la même chose également. Voilà. Et nous allons maintenant avoir un instant d'attention pour l'hymne national de la Grande-Bretagne. Et voilà, et nous prions les athlètes du podium de
There's our podium then. Eva Lechner of Italy, Caroline Marnie of France, Nikki Harris of Great Britain.
To the people on the podium, please, thank you very much. Of which, desquels nous saluons la présence de M. Luc Theiss, le directeur du marketing de la firme Soudal, également M. Baudouin Soyer, échevin des sports, Madame Geneviève Lazaron, députée provinciale de Namur, et Monsieur Thierry
getting ready for the
président de la
photos.
Fédération cycliste Wallonie-Bruxelles. Voilà, quelle belle photo pour la presse de lundi matin.
Lechner will get the World Cup jersey. Marnie on her first podium and Harris in her first World Cup win. That's a great podium, isn't it, today in Namur?
Voilà, merci mesdames. Et nous allons réserver une petite cérémonie protocolaire maintenant pour la leader de la Coupe du Monde. Nous allons...
There's Eva Lechner then. She will take over the World Cup leaders jersey. She'll wear the white jersey in the next round. Well, thank you very much for joining us today here as Eva Lechner pulls on the white leaders jersey of the World Cup. She goes back to the top with a 17-point advantage on Sana Kant, who we hope now will recover from that little injury. Nikki Harris wins at Namur. Don't forget to join us for the men's race. Thanks very much for joining us. Goodbye for now.
Many congratulations. So, merci beaucoup mesdames et messieurs. Nous allons avancer maintenant vers le moment suprême de cette journée qui débutera dans un peu plus de 30 minutes.